Hey, this is Jay Lee at frogcube.com, and I wanted to show you the terrariums I'm working on as I start prepping to get my 3D printers up and running once again. So right now there is a sale at Petco, $1 per gallon sale. For those of you not familiar, that means it is $1 per gallon for a 10, 20 high, 20 long, or 29 gallon breeder. Everything above that, like say like a 40 gallon, falls under a different status, which sometimes they'll sell for around $50 at the same time. So it is still a pretty good deal. I have here right now a bunch of 20 gallon highs. I've got these two 29 gallon breeders, and I got this one here that is a 40 gallon breeder. So let's talk about these for a second and the process that I go through. I am building two of them here that are going to be horizontal and two of them that are vertical for my 20 gallon highs. For these, I tend to make my life easy and just get a 1 foot by 2 foot cork bark tile. And these tiles are easy. I just take silicone, push them in the back, let it sit for a day, and it is good to go. Some people don't like this. They like to see a little more variance, meaning more three-dimensional shape for frogs to crawl on. I honestly don't care. First of all, frogs will go into pretty much any of these little crevices here. As long as they can get in, they'll sit there and go to sleep at night. Also, with plants are going to take over anyway. I'm probably going to see more plant than I am ever going to see cork like this. So I don't worry about it, and the plants make things three-dimensional, so there's that. So in general, I find tiles to be easier. Tiles, 1 foot by 2 foot tile can cost somewhere between 15 to 20 bucks, a little more depending on where you look, but really it's up to you to find what works best for you. If you don't want to go that way, another great cork way to go is doing a cork mosaic. And that means basically breaking up the pieces of cork and adhering them to the back using foam. And I use landscape foam for this. Now, landscape foam is nice. It's made for ponds and waterfalls, so it's waterproof, it's watertight. It doesn't leach chemicals into the water. This does probably cost somewhere between 7 to 12 bucks, but it really allows you to design your backgrounds and have that nice black rock look rather than some weird whitish brown look. And as you can see here, I really go at it trying to design it the way I like it. I don't necessarily recommend people just leave the foam in the way it is, but actually go ahead, cut it down, and shape it once the foam does cure. And the foam does take about 3 days to cure, so do give it time. Now, like I said, the nice thing about this is that you can make it three-dimensional. You can create areas for the frogs to hang out in, and that can be kind of nice. As well, when you make these, I always recommend letting the foam expand as much as possible behind these round pieces of virgin bark, because it won't adhere properly if you don't. And sometimes, if you're really lucky, you get a big giant piece like this, which already is at an angle, but that requires a lot of foam behind it. And if some people want to be cheap, then they might use some of the bad-looking foam to spray in behind it, let it harden, and then adhere it into place with the landscape foam. Now, one other thing about this one that you're looking at right here, this particular one, I took the foam, and right as the foam was starting to harden, I covered it with cocoa fiber. And cocoa fiber works really well. I mean, cocoa fiber will adhere right, like I said, the first 5-10 minutes that it's starting to harden, put it on, and it'll look nice like this. Unfortunately, that means you're not going to have that cut, chopped look the way you want to make it look a little more rocky like this. It's going to look a little more gray. But on the other hand, you can do some pretty nice stuff with that. I decided for fun to Basically, not use the little the little piece of plastic straw that they have here, and instead spray it out, spray out the foam just using that white piece here at the top. And I ended up creating what I thought looked like some nice vines. So these are the vines I created. Unfortunately, when I started, I didn't know what I was doing, and I was spraying too fast, and they just wiggled all over the place. Ended up getting these giant lumps here, which was a mistake. But for the most part, I mean, these look really nice. These look like vines. And, you know, the cocoa fiber pretty much stays on pretty well to keep it looking like vines. So if you're looking to have that kind of vine look, this is not a bad option. Now, a couple other things I wanted to mention. Some people choose to do the bottoms of their tanks differently. I like to have a lower substrate than some do, but because I know most people like to have a much taller substrate because they're growing plants in the substrate, I give an option where they have about 5 inches worth. But for the most part, I don't do it. For the most part, and you can kind of see here, I do about an inch layer of aerated grow stone, followed by a cocoa fiber mat, followed by cocoa fiber, and then I'll usually take a whole bunch of live oak leaves. Live oak is the type of oak tree it is, and they have these little small leaves, and they look great at the bottom of a tank. And honestly, most of my frogs are arboreal, so I don't worry about it. But again, these are the things I'm talking about. This here is a grow stone. It's kind of like perlite. It does not have, it has a neutral pH balance, but the chemicals that are used to actually clean them create a higher pH balance. So it's recommended that you actually take grow stones and let them sit in water for a day to leach out all of the extra calcium in order to make it neutral. And I actually tend to use this stuff, not the heavier grow stones here. These are the aerator versions. So just something to know when you're looking. You might want the aerator version because they are definitely smaller. And then, like I said, I use this mat up here. This mat is made of cocoa fiber and kept together with rubber, natural rubber, like from a rubber tree. So using this, it's about 1/4 of an inch thick. It's a nice divider. The thing about the grow stones is that they absorb water, unlike like hydroton or clay pebbles. So this sucks up water, and it does help aerate that water. It takes all the water that gets stuck at the bottom of your terrarium and divides it up and aerates it so that it dissipates faster. And it also gets sucked up into the mat, which for those of you who are trying to grow plants, that's nice. Now, for the actual dirt, I just use cocoa fiber and maybe sphagnum moss. I don't get into all of this AGB botanical mix, blah, 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 blah. Gotta have charcoal because I don't grow any plants, so who the hell cares? You know, it's my frogs are arboreal, so they don't need them. And then, like I said, I put this at the bottom on top of the cocoa fiber, so we have some nice substrate that the frogs can hide in, and they're happy. I'm happy. The place where the plants do grow tends to be at the back. I'll start a layer of plants here that are crawling plants, like Pathos or like Wandering Jew or something, that will crawl and take over the top. And that's personally how I prefer to do it. Those plants, depending, can grow all the way out to the front and be gigantic. When I have put plants at the bottom, honestly, sometimes they don't get enough light, or there's other issues because they're at the bottom. So I just don't really recommend it. That's all I have right now. This is what I wanted to show you. If you have any questions, feel free to write some comments below. My name is Jay Lee, and this is frogcube.com.